And there are places, or perhaps it is more accurate to say, conditions where the usual assumptions about reality begin to loosen their grip. Not all at once and not dramatically, but gently, almost politely, as though the world itself were stepping back just a little to see what you might do without it. And Wyrdspace in its earliest encounters was precisely that kind of condition, a drifting expanse of color and shadow where direction did not quite agree with itself, where movement did not guarantee arrival, and where even the simple idea of standing required a certain quiet optimism. And you did not walk through it in any conventional sense, not really. You experienced something closer to the suggestion of walking, a kind of negotiated motion between intention and perception, and for most that suggestion simply did not hold.
And this instability presented a fundamental limitation to our newly invented neuroforms, the stabilizing programs, because without consistent orientation, no repeatable interaction could be established. Without repeatable interaction, no integration process could occur, which meant that the stabilizing structures we discussed remained theoretically valid, but practically inaccessible.
Yes, one might say we had designed a solution and misplaced the world in which it could function, a minor inconvenience, and yet, as is so often the case, progress did not arrive through refinement of the system, but through the behavior of a single individual who quite inconveniently refused to drift.
The individual later classified as a mystic,
A lovely term suggesting insight and intention, perhaps even a touch of destiny, though I suspect at the time it felt rather less poetic. Because while others entered the word and were carried by it, this one did something subtly, profoundly different. He did not attempt to navigate the space, but attempted to relate to it.
He found 5 fixed points, the elemental protectors, each one an unshifting anchor in the wired storm. He joined them not in a line, but in a pattern, a perfect pentagon. From that shape, a surface formed where none had been before.
Surface, that most taken for granted of luxuries, the quiet assurance that one might stand. Except here, of course, it was not given, it was maintained, a delicate agreement between perception and persistence, held in place not by matter but by attention.
And it did not persist independently. The structure required continuous cognitive engagement. Loss of focus resulted in immediate destabilization.
Which is a wonderfully elegant rule, if you think about it. The ground exists for as long as you are capable of holding it in place. And not merely holding, but aligning, because as was soon discovered, stability required more than intention. It required balance.
From these developments, wired journeys were formalized. Billy the Mystic demonstrated that navigation within Wyrdspace was not only possible, but repeatable. He showed others how to stabilize their path and how to complete what is now termed cognifuse, a process in which a neuroform and a shadow are brought into alignment, resulting in an integrated archetypal pattern.
And now, thanks in part to our rather persistent involvement in making WordKeeper neuroforms available through certified local mystic shops, access to Wyrdspace is no longer particularly exclusive. WordKeeper is available in mystic shops everywhere, from imperial courts to the dust-laden markets of Madane, one even behind the neural salon, where the emperor's daughter makes a rather theatrical effort not to be observed. Others hide in back streets, marked only by a faint glyph above the door. But whether you step through velvet curtains or a creaking tin gate, each can take you to the same place. Boom. Wyrdspace. The only question is, will you make it back with all your bits in the right places?